Hello, it's high time that my tiny little stereo screen that you can see right here is updated. So that's the project I'm gonna do this President's Day weekend. I took off the panel here and some screws from this handle right here. And you may be asking, like, why are you doing with that? Has nothing to do with the stereo. Well, it all has to do with this. That is where the factory mic goes. And I'm not a big particular fan of these aftermarket stereos that make you hang the wire out and just sit the microphone on top of your steering wheel. I am gonna go through the cover and go to the factory position and put the aftermarket microphone there so we can't see it. And then everything will be peachy. But this is the beginning, so here we go. All right, we're doing pretty good so far. We got the visor holder down, but that allows us to get under this this part. And then I got the handle pulled off. You can see the airbag, so I'm gonna be careful around that. I'm gonna run my wire along with this factory wire here, run it down into here. This connects to the tweeter and the handle, and then I'll run the wire behind the steering wheel and it'll end up behind the new stereo. And so that's gonna be this. I'm gonna have to take it off of this clip and modify it so that it will fit into this. This was the cover for the original mic, which I just pushed back up in there, but I'll get the new mic to fit in here, attach it to this, and then have it in here, and that way we don't have silly mics sitting right here on the top of the steering wheel. That is where I am so far. This wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I was really apprehensive about opening up any of this. I've done the stereo in this particular vehicle before, and it's super easy. When I put in this holder for my phone, because I got tired of the ones that fell, so I got this in there so it stays pretty tight. But yeah, the rest of this, it hadn't been so bad so far. I mean, things could change, but so far, reinstalling it might be a beast. But the uninstallation part was pretty simple, so we just got to get this wire fished up there, and then we'll move on. All right, so we got the mic up through. It is wired through the headboard, and it is run along behind with the factory wiring for the tweeter. The battery's unplugged, so like I said earlier, to be safe around the airbag, which you should be, but it's not gonna go off because there's no battery. But anyways, that is run and taped along there, so I've just got to put everything back here. Right now it's just dangling down here in my dirty floorboard, but I will fasten it under the steering column, and then when I get all this pulled out, and then I'll have my mic in a place where you can't see it. So perfect for me. And it is back in place with the microphone in there. It wasn't as hard as I thought it'd be. That's why I'm doing that today. This is Friday, and I had planned to do the whole radio install on Saturday, but I thought I better get a jump start because this part is pretty difficult. But it didn't turn out to be that bad at all, doing the top and the sides, and so hopefully tomorrow goes just as smooth, but we'll see. To be continued. I thought I would shoot this one more time because this is probably like the last night I'll see this particular glow of this screen. So here you go, one last look at what it looks like with the tiny 4-inch screen. All right, we're back out here for day 2. It's 31 degrees. It's not expected to get any higher than 40, so it's kind of chilly outside, but it's not bad inside the cab if I keep the door shut, and so that should be how it goes most of the day. But anyways, I'm gonna start pulling the old radio out. So here we go. Okay, this and this came out of the sync module, just in case I need to know that for later. And the sync module is this, which is basically the brains of Ford's hands-free operation or whatnot. But anyways, moving forward. Now I've got the CD player pulled out, but actually I think on this model, the CD player is kind of the brains of the actual operator of the radio, because the radio is kind of small. I don't know if I showed that earlier. Well, I probably did, but the radio is really, or what you'd think of the radio, is just a screen. It's just a screen, but the actual CD player in this model, it's a 2015 F-150. This is the radio. But anyway, so all the hookups are here. Like, I think that's the antenna, and then all these are feeding into the sync in various areas. But anyways, I have to pull this out. So now that we got the last CD or radio out, we're pretty much there as far as uninstall of the old equipment. Although it says I have to take out this bracket, which is supposed to hold, I believe it holds the later sync models like sync 2 and 3. I have just the standard sync 1, but I think it holds another brain there that thinks. So I don't even need that bracket, but that's coming out. And then to make room for the new faceplate and stereo, I have to actually cut this part off, which, as far as I could tell, it wasn't doing anything structurally behind the stereo besides holding this clip and then feeding wires through here. Stuff was rest against it, but it wasn't doing anything. But anyways, I'm going to have to take my Dremel and take that out. Okay, so far out of this whole process, getting this stupid thing out, which is a bracket for a piece I didn't even have in my truck, has been the hardest part. Getting to the bolts that were under here, which took a 7 that I didn't have. I had 8 and 6 and whatnot, but not 7. And you had to go underneath and go tiny increments just to get it to remove. And then, I got these bottom ones out, and then getting this thing out itself was a Tetris type puzzle. But if the rest of this reinstall is easier than this, then I'm okay, because that was tough. And I opened the door a minute ago, but I had the windows fogged up for a while. So anywho, I think we'll go inside now and start working on the faceplate. I've got to take the climate control buttons and my hazard lights and I forgot what that is. The anti-lock brake traction control. I've got to take those buttons off, and then I've got to take the brains from the climate controls out of this unit and put it in the new faceplate, which will fit the stereo a lot better. So that's going to be some inside work, and we'll go ahead and stop and do that part now. Okay, that was a little harder than I thought. I think it was just driving the screws through the new plastic, but the new faceplate is put together, so now I'm starting on the stereo just down here, so that'll be next. So we got the stereo mounted on the bracket, and now the next part is I have to go cut off part of the frame in the car, or in the truck, to make room. So I'm gonna go do that now with my little Dremel tool. All right, here's where we're about to make a big mess. Got the Dremel, and I'm going to cut off here, and then I'll kind of sand it down to make sure it's nice, and then cut off on this side as well to give us more room to work with. Yay! All right, we're back out in the truck. I've got all the pieces. I cut out that middle part. I've got my camera going. And so basically now it's reinstall time. I don't know how easy that's going to be. There are parts of this that have been kind of difficult or just tiring, but I feel like it's pretty straightforward, especially with this harness I bought from the company that's supposed to, you're not really supposed to splice anything. You're just supposed to, it's a go-between between the new stereo and the connections I have in my car. So if it all goes well, hopefully this goes pretty fast, but we'll see how that goes. So we've gotten most things hooked up, and I had to do some test fits because the way I had the stereo mounted to the brackets before wasn't coming all the way up to the screen, and it was low. So I redid that, and I just tested it. I tried starting the thing a minute ago, but I wasn't receiving any power. And I think I have everything hooked up, but I've got to go back through my connections. As you can see, it's just a mess right now. I'm going to clean that up before I put everything back into the bag, but I've got to go one by one through the connections and make sure like it is connected right to see why I'm not getting power. So a little bit of troubleshooting, but we're still mowing ahead. All right, I did a short test and there was one wire I left unhooked. So I started it up before I got everything hooked up, and I made a test call to Raquel. Turned on my backup camera, all that works. So now I'm basically putting everything back together. I've got to do another test fit to make sure that's going to fit right. And then other than that, I'll put it back together, and then we'll do some playing around. So we have a special guest. Where are you at? Salter. Salters came in to like help me with the initial startup. It's finally put back in. I've switched to the GoPro. I've been recording this some with the GoPro and then some with my camera, but I figure my phone. But I figure my phone needs to connect to the system. But this is how it looks now. I haven't put my phone holder back on here yet. I just stuck the little part of it, but I've got to get all that reconnected so I can keep setting my phone there, although I might not. I might end up putting it on this new included shelf with all of my hookups. But anyways, I tested it. It should work. If it doesn't, I'm going to tear this all apart again and then be annoyed, but that's okay. We'll see if it works.
Hopefully it does.
Hopefully it does. Yeah. It does have power. It is on.
Nice.
Okay. I thought I finished the... Oh, I didn't do the Maestro stuff. So I've got to do some setup here. I'm going to do some initial... continue some initial setup, and then we'll do a little tour. Okay. There was some confusion on my part about how to it's the radio syncs with the GPS satellite, but I couldn't figure out how to get back to the menu to change it to Central Time because it was 2 hours off. But I've got it fixed. I've got everything put back in. There's a big hole right here, but for a while I had an additional cigarette lighter outlet right there that's been dangling. It's just been that way since I bought the truck. Since I had everything open, I took it out so that I could get a replacement part. But in turn, I learned that there is an extra wire in there. And I think there are some Ford models that you can put either a standard 12 volt hookup there, like a standard outlet, or you can do like additional USBs. So I'm going to look into that and kind of upgrade what I've got right there since I had it open. And then it's just a matter of popping it back in that hole. I haven't really played with everything yet. It's just kind of going through, your normal stuff. But I immediately synced my phone to it, which I've got my phone sitting back up here for now until I can figure out what I want to do. But it's super easy. Android Auto is awesome. It connects really well. It connected good with my backup camera, and that was kind of my initial thing of like, it's just hard to see on that little screen, and now this is way bigger. So yeah, I kind of like it. I haven't messed with everything on it. I've got a big mess to clean up and, to get everything going. And I'll probably have to mess with the settings. I think there's a way it dims, but I got to figure out how to make it dim a little more at nighttime so I'm not like crazy blinded by it. It's super bright, although I've got it turned up right now. I think there's ways to go in there and just mess with the settings and turn it down so it's not as bright. I think that was under, turn it, drop in there, and then there's where you can adjust by steps. But anyways, I'm super happy with it. It looks like it's a part of the, factory setting. Everything works over here. My volume up, my mute, picking up the phone, changing sources, all of that works. Thanks to the little kit I bought. I tested out my microphone and called Raquel, and I came through perfectly on that. So the new mic, I think, sounds better than I did with the factory mic. So all in all, like, it was harder to set this thing up than I thought it would be. It wasn't impossible. It was just a lot of like, why do I have all these wires and where the heck am I going with this? But once I got into a groove and got it, flowing and just figured out that most of these connections can only go into one other thing, it was just a matter of finding the right wire to fit. So I feel like I spent in total, like counting yesterday, and we're just talking about work time, probably 5 to 6 hours of work time. This doesn't include going inside and eating and taking breaks and whatnot. So, I mean, it's a hefty project. For someone that installs car stereos normally, it would probably be a lot quicker. But for me, having to do a lot of trial and error to figure this out, it took a bit. Would I do it again? Heck yeah. I love it. It's awesome. So I can't wait to mess with it more. So I guess that's the end of the video.